Okay, welcome to the Afterburner podcast hosted by Ethan F. Campbell, Matt, and Ben. So, currently Ethan's on holiday, so he's not joining us for our first episode, but he'll be here next time. Today, we're interviewing two Red Arrows pilots. First up is Squadron Leader AJ Taylor and also Squadron Leader Cyclone. So, first of all, tell us a bit about yourself.
So, my name is II Cyclone, as known on Roblox, but my real name is Nathan. I enjoy aviation. I aspire to be a pilot when I grow up. I've got interest in military, so I do like sort of military operations, whether that's infantry or more aviation-related type of stuff. Simulation games as such, I like to play different ones of them. So ETS2, if you've heard of that, X-Plane,
Yeah.
DCS,
All
and
heard
stuff
of.
like that.
And what about you, AJ?
My name's AJ, and it's basically the same story as Cyclone. I've been into aviation all my life, and I like playing mil sims and simulators. Cyclone's actually taught me a lot about DCS, and we've played it together. And yeah,
Brilliant.
Cool, guys. So what did it take, or how did you guys become a pilot in RLXRA, just in general? How did you get into the aviation community as a pilot?
So for me, I was in this roleplay community based in Wales, and I made a few friends in there, and they joined this Roblox Red Arrows. It wasn't this team; it was a different team. It was a smaller team, not very well known, and they joined the game, and I thought it looks quite interesting and fun. So I joined the game purely out of interest, and I did myself a tryout, got in. I wasn't as skillful as I might be now, but I had good fun, and it was purely just from there I joined this team in I believe it was 2020 September. So
Yeah.
I basically made like a transfer type thing to this team, and obviously this was a bigger team in Roav at the time,
Yeah.
so it was quite a big step up, and I've been in it pretty much since then. I've been through many different positions throughout Enid and Jippo. This is, I mean, I've done synchro now for God knows how long. I've been red one at some point.
Yeah, it's all
So
good.
it's been good, yeah. And from this team, I've obviously discovered other teams with a wide variety of things. So, for example, the Black Knights, and different stuff like that. Bigger teams, like really big teams. VRRA, probably the biggest Red Arrows group house. I've been in that. I've done that. So yeah, it's
Skilled
been
pilot.
quite good. Yeah.
What about you, AJ?
I actually started off my ROAV career in PTFS when I met you, Big, and we were in a few PTFS Red Arrows. Like, it must have been at least like 3 groups with different leaders and stuff. And then we were in a group chat, and you was like, hey, there's a Red Arrows training for this fairly big group. And I was a bit skeptical because it's like the first time I've done anything in like their own proper game. And it was a whole new kit. I didn't know how to use anything.
Yeah.
And I just
Difficult.
thought I might as well try.
Yeah, well, it seems to
Yeah.
have worked out.
Yeah,
I was gonna
we
say.
did.
No, we're here now. Like, I remember the PTFS days back when we had we started ages ago, and we began to kind of get used to like formation flying and stuff. We used to be absolutely terrible, but we got into it, started learning maneuvers. We watched Red Arrows displays on YouTube and stuff because this was in lockdown, obviously. So practically
yeah.
everything we did was online. So that's when, if you look about it now, basically lockdown kind of helped the aviation community in a way to get where it is.
It did.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
Yeah.
if it wasn't for certain events, then obviously they were bad events, but
Yeah.
in some ways it brought positives as well for us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been in many roles within this team, from Enid to Jippo. I've done I think I've done one display only in my time here, and that was the Jippo display, late December of 2021, which went quite well.
That's good.
And
How many
yes,
spectators were there?
I can't remember.
Was it quite a few or fairly quiet? Or
There was quite a few people from what I remember.
big was
When
in.
I came
Oh,
to
that's
watch the
good.
display,
That's
there
good.
was quite a few people actually. It
Yeah.
was the first display we'd done in a while coming.
Awesome.
We just passed PDA a few weeks before, so
Yeah.
we were just getting into it.
Yeah, it was
So,
quite nerve-wracking, but yeah, we
do
managed
you
to
all
get
have
through
to
it.
be? Do you all have to be particularly skilled to do it with your
Oh,
job?
yeah, definitely. Um, Obviously, the bigger the team, the more they'll want good pilots. The smaller the team, they obviously won't mind as much. But if you want to get up to a good level, the hard truth really is it's practice makes
Yeah. Yeah.
perfect. You've got
No,
to just
100%.
keep going at it. Look on YouTube videos, as Matt said earlier. Learn different stuff. Watch real world pilots and their sort of methods on stuff. And to be honest, you sort of just pick stuff up yourself. So
Yeah, as you go along. Yeah.
your skill comes with your experience. Obviously, I've been in RAF for years now, so I've
Mm.
picked up a lot of different things, good things and bad things. And
Yeah.
yeah, you just
Yeah. Good.
Well, it's probably the same for you, AJ, as well, with like in terms of skills, because obviously you guys do the same thing. Obviously, cycling does a bit more of the leadership side of things as Red 6, but obviously it's Red 7 as well. It's quite a lot of the skills involved as flying synchro and especially as Jipper as well in certain aspects of the display. It's quite different for you in terms of what skills you need also, because you need to be able to communicate with Red 6 and be able to actually fly your jet. So is it challenging to adapt to that kind of being able to talk, fly, and be able to do, multitasking in a quite difficult environment at points, or does it just comes with the kind of doing it over and over and over again?
Well, I mean, it is quite difficult when you start off with, and like when I started with this team, as you remember, you will probably remember, I didn't used to talk, which made things like 10 times harder. And I had to try and figure out because I use push talk, I had to um press a bunch of buttons
That's
whilst changing smoke colors, whilst managing throttle,
Bit of a
whilst
nightmare. Yeah.
everything. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I've gotten used to it.
yeah.
That's good.
So is there anything like a key skill which you could narrow out, which you would say that's the main thing you need to be able to come into this role?
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, from my point personally, without going too technical into how you actually do formation flying, I think the mindset you need to have. I mean, I know this is only Roblox, but at the end of the day, it's quite difficult for someone who has never done anything like this before. It's the same properties. It's the same. You're doing the same stuff as in real life. It's just on a computer screen. So I
Yeah.
think you need a good mindset and a persistent mindset. Someone who's willing to, give up time and put in effort to
Mm.
practice, because you can easily just think, oh, I'm no good at this, I'll give up. And,
Yeah.
you need to have a good mindset for it.
I mean, we can see the results as well when we look at some of the screenshots and videos. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
looking really good. What sort of training do you have to do?
Do you want me to answer this one or AJ? I don't mind.
I can do it if you want. I can't remember as I joined in I think early 2021, but I remember having to do a tryout, and we
Yeah.
have to do trainings. We have to do
Yeah.
trainings like every week.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's
You do one
daily.
this afternoon?
Yeah, there's
That's good.
synchro training this
Mhm.
afternoon. I think it went fairly well. It's up
Yeah.
to you
Yeah.
guys on the ground to decide.
No
But
crashes.
Yeah, we saw
luckily,
some of the pictures on Twitter coming out of it are looking very nice at the moment. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
is there, especially as you come into when you come into the team, do you feel like the trainings as a team like work better, or do you feel like when you're in for instance, the trainee environment, obviously you're getting it's quite a competitive environment because everyone wants to get in, and some people are going to fail, some people are going to pass. So do you feel like when you're flying as a team, there's kind of a competitive side, but in a team
Good
kind
way,
of banter way, rather than the kind of trainee competitiveness to try and get into the position? Like, what's the differences in terms of like your selections process to try and get into the team, and then your actual trainings in a team if you pass selections?
Well, to be honest, the selection process. I'll take VRA for example. So obviously, I think pretty much everyone's heard of VRA. So
Mhm.
currently at this moment, I'm doing my second lot of training. So a while back, I applied, I got in, I was a reserve pilot for quite a while, and then if you haven't heard, obviously they've done reforms and they've reopened applications, and I'm now a trainee all over again. So I do think there is somewhat of a bit of competition. Obviously, there's 9 spaces in the main team, and there's quite a
Yeah.
few trainees. So you've always got some sort of competition, but
Healthy competition.
yeah, I think it's always good to keep, not to get cocky, but just, keep things to yourself and just focus on yourself rather than other people. But also don't get too, you know, like individualized, because when it comes to formation flying, you all need to work as a team, and that's what the team leaders of different teams. So obviously Red 1 for this Red Arrows group, and myself, Red 6. I look for people who use teamwork and actually communicate well with the other pilots. But in comparison to like the selections process and training, I think there's quite a major difference. Obviously, you're not competing for a spot, but I guess there is sort of some competition, because in the back of your mind you're thinking, I do want to be the best here, which it can be a good thing, because it makes you want to better yourself as a pilot, and with regards to your training, you'll put the effort in for it, which I think is a good thing. But sometimes you can get a bit too cocky and maybe a bit
Yeah.
arrogant. Sometimes you've got to keep that under control, but most of the times it's a nice friendly environment, as some would
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, that's fair. So, I mean, it's probably the same for you, AJ. Like in terms of coming in, obviously later than Cyclone. Obviously, like your first proper selections, possibly, they're probably with PTFS teams. So, do you see a difference in the way that like virtual Roblox teams is the way to say it instead of like PTFS teams? Do you see like a difference in how they select people, for instance, like in terms of how what they're looking for compared to this, or is it the same kind of principles?
Well, it's the same kind of principles as Cyclone was saying, like team building. Having trust in each other is a big thing, and being able to communicate. But they're both the same principles with formation flying, so I think it's basically the same.
Mm.
Uh,
It seems like a lot of
moving-
fun as well.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than doing it all perfectly and then flying over the last red, white, and blue, and then it's just gone really well and nothing's gone wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you're always going to have good and bad days with
Yeah.
formation flying, and you have to accept the bad days and cherish the good days.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
So
go on, Matt.
moving in from that kind of thing, like with the training, obviously when you get into the team, you're assigned a position. So for instance, usually one of the lower numbers, so either red 2, 3, or 4, I believe it is. So when you come into that, obviously different positions do different maneuvers and fly them differently. So is there, like in the positions you've been in both this team and other teams that you've been in, is there any like displays which stand out for you, like in terms of being a pilot, any like or any air shows in general which stand out to you as that was very fun and I wish I could do that again kind of thing?
Well, for me personally, I've done quite a lot of air shows, considering I have been in RAV longer than AJ has. So I think I'm in a few more teams. I mean, at one point I was in quite a lot of teams, so I have had the opportunity to do a lot of air shows, and I think a lot of them have been really, really good. So a few I can remember was Cosford Air Show, 2021. I think it was 2021. Yeah, I had really
Yeah.
good fun in that. There was a few American air shows which were good. Off the top of my head, I can't remember some of them, but the one that comes back to me would be Cosford. Obviously, we've got a few upcoming ones, so we'll have to see how they go. But
You got Silverstone this year, hopefully, and possibly
hopefully,
Scampton as
yeah.
well. Yeah.
But no, yeah,
So
I think as long as the display goes well for you yourself, and you've done the best you can, I think that's the main thing.
That's what counts.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
again for you, AJ, is there any air shows that stand out for you? Obviously, I mean you haven't done as many as probably Cyclone has, but is there anyone that stands out for you?
Yeah, I haven't done that many air shows, but like the only proper one that I've been involved in as in flying was the Jippo air show at Scampton, late December last year.
And how do you feel it went?
I think it went like the best it could have.
That's good.
Maybe a few hiccups here and there, but
Yeah, but
other than that,
what I heard as well from obviously with the pilots that flew at obviously AJ A_5655755 to name another one. From what they said, put in a lot of training to get the display nailed to a T, and there was quite a lot of healthy rivalry between quite a few Red Arrows groups. Even PTFS ones were trying to make a name for themselves. Like I remember there were quite a few teams making big moves to try and get a big name for themselves. And obviously, there are quite a few teams nowadays which have got a big name for themselves. Obviously, this Roblox RA, as I assume, is it's still building. It's still building to what
Very
it can be.
recently added circus as well, haven't they?
Exactly. Yeah, they're still getting into the actual setting the whole team up and basically starting. Because from what it looks like, they're basically starting from the ground up again. I'm not sure if that's the same from your perspective, but obviously what they're trying to do is just different to what we see it as. So
Yeah.
is it like different in a way, would you say, from what the public sees in terms of displays? Obviously they only see the display, they don't see the background work. Do you ever think that sometimes there's quite a lot that goes unseen which should be seen, like for instance public trainings, or there's certain things which you think should be seen in the aviation community which isn't seen too much?
I think it would be interesting to see, obviously, the training and what goes into it behind the scenes. But at the end of the day, I'm more of a traditional type of row aviator, if you wish. So I'd rather see the finished full display than watch the training. That's just me personally, but obviously other people have got different opinions on that. But I guess if people show interest in seeing more behind the scenes, so stuff like our briefings that we do, so briefing the pilots and stuff like that, maybe our selection process that goes on. So we have like a shortlist, and people are shortlisted onto it, and they go through a selection processes. Obviously, we've all done at some point, me and AJ. So maybe if the public I want to see that sort of stuff, then drop teams DMs, stuff like that, Twitter, Discord, whatever, and then the team's media team can obviously, if they want to, then I guess that would be a good idea. But it depends what the
Yeah.
public want to see.
And on another note, what are both your favourite displays? So AJ, what's yours?
Displays.
Yeah. So like a different type of display.
Type of display.
You mean like synchro display and stuff like that?
Yeah, that
Right.
kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
what
Oh,
what
right,
kind
yeah.
of like do you prefer, like flying as a full team kind of thing or flying separately?
Well, for displays, I like full team displays with the full routine, because then it just shows like
Yeah.
how many maneuvers like we actually have, and like if we
Yeah.
just like a jipper display or something, like, and someone's like
Yeah.
hasn't come to our air shows before, they won't know what Enid does, for
Mm.
example. That's just a rough example, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
although full teams, like, there's more room for error because you're managing,
Yeah.
well, right now 7 jets, but normally 9.
So is it true that you guys went to a 9 ship and then came back down to a 7 ship?
Well, over the course of God knows how long, we've been. I think the whole of Ravs, as a whole, really have sort of gone on decline on activity. From my perspective. But now I think a lot of teams are actually making a comeback. So obviously the summer has provided a good time where people don't have to worry about school and stuff like that to boost their activity up. So obviously this team, I mean, I haven't seen it this good in a while. Obviously you have peaks and troughs of activity, especially in the summer, people on holiday. So you can't really expect full activity.
Because like your red one could just suddenly disappear for 2 weeks to France, and then
Yeah.
it could go to the Caribbean for 4 weeks, or you're never really gonna get a full
Yeah.
team.
But as long as people keep practicing, You know, obviously
Yeah,
some
even if
people are
it's
quicker learners than other. If we can provide a full display, that's what we want to do.
yeah, of course. And do you think you're better than the Roblox virtual Blue Angels?
Well, there's always that argument, isn't there, Moab, with who's better, the Red Arrows or the Blue Angels? Personally, I don't think you can compare the two. I mean, completely different aircraft. Obviously, we fly the Hawk T1, which is a trainer aircraft. Um, small, uh, quite slow in comparison to the F-18, which the Blue Angels fly.
Yeah,
And obviously they fly. Obviously they're known for their tight diamond, which is like that the diamond look. So you've got
hmm
Blue Angel 1, 2, 3, and 4, and this diamond shape, and they're really tight together. I think it's 6 inches apart. Is the rough
it's crazy.
the rough distance between them, but because they're in F-18s, they can take turbulence, a few bumps in the air. Unlike a Hawk T1, you're bouncing around like a
Yeah,
toddler in a bouncy castle. I mean,
yeah.
it's mad. So you've got to fly further apart for your own safety, really.
Just in case
So
you capture turbulence. Yeah,
yeah. So with regards to tightness, obviously Blue Angels have that one, but it's their aircraft that they fly which give them the head
yeah,
start. But really,
yeah,
I think both displays are well. Obviously,
yeah. Of course.
I'm gonna pick. I would pick the Red Arrows any day of the week over the Blue Angels. Maybe that's just because I'm British, but who knows?
And you're in the team as well.
Yeah, I was going to
Exactly.
say
Yeah.
that as well. So would you say that, for instance, obviously being in the Blue Angels and the Red Arrows myself, I've been in a Blue Angels team before. Would you say, like, from my point of view, would you say like, well, from my point of view, sorry, I'd say that, for instance, as you said, that you can't really compare them because they're two completely different displays, two completely different aircraft, and two completely different sets of team. So
Mhm.
what you couldn't really do with it. AJ might see it differently because obviously, he's only been in this Red Arrows environment and he's only flown one display. For instance, with teams like the Thunderbirds, it's another American example which fly really tight, powerful jets. Would you say that, the rivalry between the Red Arrows and the I'll come to AJ for this. Would you say that the rivalry, for instance, between the Red Arrows and the Blue Angels is like healthy rivalry? Like, would you say like it's the rivalry between both teams are just there to kind of put you know for both sets of pilots to try and get put out a good display and just try and make the public win over them, or would you say it's more just um or would you just say it's just general, they want to be the best kind of thing?
Well, I think it's a mix of both, honestly. As you said, it's quite unfair, as in like different jets, different everything.
Mm-hmm.
And like we aren't able to fly tight. But like they're two different displays. We're not focused on flying tight. Like other than them, so they have like different maneuvers to suit their style.
Exactly.
And just to add on to that, for me, I think there is friendly rivalry there because you always want to be better than the person next to you in any situation, really. From my perspective, that is. So I guess there's going to be rivalry in anything, really. If you're turning it to an air show, you want to be the best display there. But I
Yeah,
guess it's good, if you've got that motivation and that determination to do the best, you'll put on a good display for the public, and that is the main thing that we train
main
for
aim.
and
Goal,
and
yeah.
do, so we can give the public a pleasureful experience.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Well, you do a good job of it. Definitely, 100%. From what I've
Lovely.
seen,
Yeah.
anyway.
So
So,
coming into kind of the Blue Angels stuff, obviously with different teams, is there like, can you basically just give us like a rundown of like display teams that you've been in and like how they compare to obviously different teams? So for instance, well, from what teams I've been in, for instance, to give quite a different one. This was quite a while ago. I was in the Royal Netherlands display team, which flew the PC-7 and F-16 and an Apache. So three completely different aircraft, obviously, but they were, it's completely different display, and as I said, three completely different aircraft. So you get a bit of everything with it. Obviously, the pyrotechnics which came with the Apache, the loud, quite strong aircraft in the F-16, sorry, and the PC-7 just to show kind of the general aerobatics which pilots can perform. you want to like say any other teams that you've been in and like the experiences that come with it?
Yeah, I'll start. So I've been in obviously many Red Arrows groups, as you know, VRRA, RLXRA, which is obviously the one that's sort of come up most in this podcast today. I've been in display teams which use light propeller aircraft. So more like really recently, obviously we've got the introduction of the Blackjacks. So for a short period of time, they threw the extra 300s. Obviously if you've heard, they've changed aircraft now to I think it's the L39 now. I currently fly for the Black Knights, so they're a display team with the Singapore Air Force that fly F-16 Sea Fighting Falcons, and they're more of a Blue Angel type display, flying really tight formations, because obviously their aircraft are capable of doing that. And in that I fly slot, so Black Knight 4. So I get a good mix of quite a lot of things, really. So obviously we've got this group where I'm Red 6, so I've got a bit of leadership. And even in Black Knights, I've got a bit of leadership stuff because I sort of do all the trainings for the new applicants. So I get a good mix of stuff. I'm trying to think of other ones I've been in.
Any rotary ones?
A lot of
Yeah.
display teams are quite, similar with their aircraft,
Yeah.
but they're the main
I mean,
differences. Yeah.
coming back to quite a while ago towards the cost of time, actually, I remember one of our good friends who's currently in the RBLXRA team. He started up a team called the Virtual Roblox Black Cats, which are a
Yeah.
very cool display team for its time. There was the second team which properly started going up for helicopters. Do you want to explain some kind of stuff like the differences between flying a helicopter display and a fast jet team?
Yeah, so obviously some people might know I was both Black Cat 2 and Black Cat 1, or Black 2, Black 1. So coming from the perspective of just forming on the helicopter in front of me, it's completely different. So the plane kit is like similar, it's still the same plane kit, but you've got to keep the references are completely different to a plane. I mean, first of all, you don't have a wing, you've got these big rotor blades, so you got to make sure you're far apart from them. And some of the when you're communicating with the lead and your wingman, you've got to be the wording, if you wish, with the communications are different to an aircraft different to a plane, because obviously it's a helicopter.
Yeah.
So you've got different terminology which you have to use with that, different techniques, reference points for formatting on the helicopter in front of you. But no, it does give a good variety of things that you can do. So obviously with the helicopters, it's completely different to a plane. So
Yeah.
it's a bit more of a challenge as well if you're
just-
not used to it.
And just one last question. You haven't ever been involved in any accidents, have you?
Oh, there's always accidents. You
Is that
can't
good or a
deny
bad
that. Well, half the time, the accidents you get are malfunctions with the aircraft or slight mistakes you can make,
Yeah.
which are fairly easy. Obviously, most of the time nowadays, we don't crash into each other, like
Yeah.
obviously purposely we don't, but accidentally
Yeah.
there's not a lot of crashes, but
Yeah.
obviously we aim to not crash.
And not have a wheel
Obviously.
landing? Yeah.
So coming over to you, AJ, obviously, we haven't left you out, don't worry. What obviously you said you've been in a few PTFS Red Arrows. Is that like the only kind of teams you've been in, or is there any other teams that you've been in which stick out to you?
I've been in quite a few other teams. I am currently in quite a few other teams as well. For example, the Midnight Hawks, which is run by someone that is in RBLXRA. I'm in the Blackjacks, which is, as Cyclone said, a newly founded team, which it used to run extra 300s and now is switching to a Jets aircraft. And I'm in the virtual Roblox Typhoon display team as an engineer. So I'm in a variety of teams with different aircraft and different capabilities, routines, etc.
would you say then, just obviously last question for you guys, for you both, would you say that the row aviation community has, you know, is at a good standard? For instance, there is a decent amount of teams, and would you say that there is a lot which still could happen in row aviation, or would you say that it's kind of it's where it is now, and you reckon it will stay like this for a bit? Like, is it basically to make it more simple for you guys? Is there anything which you would like to see in the row aviation community be added, for instance, display team or an air show?
Yeah. So with regards to your previous question, I think with the current state where I is now, um, it's definitely on the uphill. It's it's building its way up.
I agree. Yeah.
From obviously inactivity. A lot of people have gone into their sort of exam years, big exams they've got to do, which are more
I have myself.
important
Yeah.
than ROAV. Let's be real. So obviously there's going to be peaks and troughs with ROAV. I mean, the community itself, most people I meet are they're solid, nice people. So everyone in Roblox Array have been great. All my other teams, you have a good laugh with them, and it's a good sort of social way of meeting new people. And with regards to seeing new things, I'd love to see more helicopter stuff, definitely. Um, and actually, maybe more fictional teams rather than real life teams, because
Yeah.
you can do so much with fictional teams. And
You do as you like.
maybe it might be a bit unrealistic because there isn't one in real life. But have you ever seen like I don't know a 9-jet display of A10s?
That would be
You
great.
never have it. That would be a really good, especially if you're into your different aircraft. It'd be
I'm
good to
actually in
see that
a
sort of stuff. So like
Yeah,
there was one called JTSD, which was fictional. That was really good because you had I think there was multiple different aircraft. I remember there was the F-18. I was in it for a brief point. So you obviously had the F-18s in that one. But it was fictional, so you can take ideas and sort of make your own display up, and you can sort of do
yeah.
as you please. So I think I'd like to see more fictional stuff with more extravagant aircraft, and maybe some airliner displays. You never know, because
That'd be good,
if
yeah.
you've seen it Riat recently, you've got the Beluga XL that did some display in there. So you never really see that type of stuff in RAV. So maybe I'd like to see stuff like that. And one final point from me would be, obviously we're always going to see new stuff as long as there's someone in RAV to make the aircraft. There's always going to be new stuff. So if you look, a few years on from now, when the new aircraft come out that you've never seen before, like modern aircraft, seeing those type of displays in ROAV would be great to see. Instead of just keeping the
yeah,
same old planes, bringing out the new ones would be good.
yeah. Yeah, I 100% agree. And for you, AJ, is there anything that you'd want to see in row aviation?
Um, Not that I know of because I haven't been in it as much and I don't know like half the teams. I only like recently discovered them at air shows that are at etc.
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah,
I'm only in like a 5 display teams at most, and
yeah,
I don't know the other half of row have and how many teams are out there.
Yeah.
I can't
mm,
really add on.
It does just goes to show how how big of a community it actually is,
Oh, it's
because
massive. Yeah, it's really big.
yeah, I bet there's. I mean, this is just like the display side of things. Like with display teams
exactly.
and aerobatics. This is just this
Yeah,
side.
exactly.
I mean, you've got all the airline. Oh, oops. You've got all the airline side of it.
And then you've got all the
Um,
PTFS guys as well. There's like
yeah, PTFS
hundreds of
stuff.
thousands of people
Exactly.
in their servers.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much nowadays on row aviation which is coming in. Like you've got, for instance, to name quite a big group, which is you may consider may not be row aviation, but it still falls under the category in a way, which is Roblox NASA, which is a huge group,
Yeah.
which was properly
Mhm.
popping off in lockdown. They were, um, they were doing, huge events, replicating shuttle launches and practically doing missions, which happened IRL in Roblox. Like that takes a lot of development to go into it to create a shuttle launch on Roblox. And even with airlines as well, there's so much which goes on behind the scenes, which is so unseen as well. And it's the same for like every kind of category on Roblox, like
Well, I'm
roleplay
looking.
communities as well, and milsims. There's so much
Mhm.
which you can do and like expand from, especially with aviation. Like you can go from being in a display team and flying over Silverstone, for instance, which is what you guys obviously are doing in a few weeks. You guys could be ending up joining maybe an F1 team and going into some like row racing and stuff
Yeah,
for
it's
all you
great.
want to know. There's
Yeah,
so much you can do nowadays.
I mean, I'm looking right now as we speak, and there is currently 3,800 people on Pilot Training Flight Simulator, and it's on
Yeah.
152 million views and a million
Really?
favorites. So
I mean,
yeah,
what
Yeah.
I like about, you know, I'll keep it RAV based, but what I like about RAV itself is, you can pretty much do anything really with the development, and that's what I like
yeah,
about it. You're not limited with everything, you know. It's down to how much you're prepared to do, and that's what I like because it shows, you know, that people, if you bring out a really, really good display team, you got good kit, good uniform and stuff like that. It shows, that you're professional and you
yeah.
work hard and, you've got good effort for stuff.
And then with things like that, then things like Robux and like stuff will come with that. You're not obviously
Mm-hmm.
gonna do that to get it, but if you're a good team, then you may find people like might start buying merch and stuff like that, and then you start to make a little bit of an income, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
I think a lot of people, just to add on, I mean, with Rav, obviously you've got all the good things, you can look at, but then you've also got there's a few bad things that people say. So people say it's a bit of a toxic community, but you're going to get toxic people with any community, aren't you? So
Yeah,
obviously
Exactly.
people, I've heard stories of people stealing aircraft from people and on all this different type of things, but in any group, you're going to get,
idiots.
stuff like that. And you
Yeah,
sort of just got to ignore it, haven't you? Because it is the internet and you've got people who will do that stuff. So
yeah, of course.
you got to just look at the
Exactly.
brighter side and focus on the good stuff. But I
Spot on.
haven't seen a lot of really bad toxic stuff. No,
No, neither have I.
nothing bad's happened to me, really.
Exactly. That's the kind of thing which kind of brings aviation down a bit. Is the fact that there is some toxicity in it. That to the other side there is this small group of toxicity which goes on in the aviation community. But then if you look at it, there is so much which has no toxicity